Have you ever been caught in a family drama where standing up for yourself felt like the ultimate betrayal? Well, that's exactly what this story is about. A girl who's had enough of being the family's doormat, and now she's ready to make some tough decisions. But was she right? Stick around to find out.
Here's how it all started. My sister, Emily, is 6 years older than me. She's always been the golden child, perfect grades, perfect job, and now, the perfect wedding. Meanwhile, I was just her kid sister, the one expected to go along with whatever she wanted. When she got engaged, I was genuinely happy for her. I imagined being a bridesmaid, standing by her side, helping her pick out dresses, and sharing in the excitement. But when she finally sat me down to talk about the wedding, what she said completely blindsided me. "So, I was thinking," she started, "you could help out by watching the kids during the wedding." I blinked. The kids? Yeah. Keeping them entertained, making sure they don't cause chaos, that sort of thing. I waited for her to say just kidding, to laugh and tell me she of course wanted me as a bridesmaid. But she just kept talking, completely oblivious to the way my stomach was sinking. I forced a smile. I thought, I might be in the bridal party? Emily gave a little laugh. "Oh, come on. You're so great with kids. This is way more important." I couldn't believe it. My own sister was treating me like a free babysitter instead of family. I should have spoken up right then, but I didn't. Instead, I sat there, nodding numbly, while she gushed about how amazing it would be for me to take care of everyone's kids. Later that night, I told my parents about it, expecting them to be just as shocked. But instead, my mom smiled. "Well, you are great with kids." That was when I realized no one was on my side. But I wasn't about to let them walk all over me, so I made a decision that would leave my entire family furious. And once I followed through, there was no going back. In the days after that conversation, I kept hoping Emily would realize how unfair she was being. Maybe she'd send a text saying, "Hey, I thought about it, and of course, I want you as my bridesmaid." But that text never came. Instead, she sent a long message in the family group chat, talking about how amazing it was that I had volunteered to be in charge of all the kids during the wedding. She even called me a lifesaver. I just stared at my phone, my fingers twitching over the keyboard. Volunteer? She made it sound like I had offered to do this, like it was some honor instead of a giant slap in the face. Even worse, everyone started chiming in. "That's so sweet of you, Aunt Lisa. We were worried about what to do with our little ones. You're an angel. My cousin Sarah, can't wait to see you at the wedding." My grandma, I felt sick. The entire family had just accepted that this was my role. No one even asked me if I was okay with it. That's when it hit me. If I just went along with this, if I swallowed my feelings like I always did, then I'd be setting a precedent. I'd be the default babysitter for every future family event at SO. I did something I'd never done before. I decided to say no. At first. I didn't even know how to say it. I wanted to be firm, but I also didn't want to start unnecessary drama. So, I drafted and deleted a dozen different texts before finally settling on, "Hey Emily, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I won't be able to babysit at the wedding. Hope you understand." Short, simple, respectful. I hit send and immediately felt my heart pounding. Minutes passed. Then an hour. No response. Then, my phone rang. "Emily," I hesitated before answering, bracing myself. "Hello? What do you mean you won't be able to?" she snapped. "You're literally coming to the wedding anyway. What else would you be doing?" I clenched my jaw. I was planning on, I don't know, actually attending my sister's wedding as a guest? She scoffed. "Come on, it's not like babysitting is a big deal. You just have to keep an eye on them. It's one day. Can't you just do this for me?" "You mean like how I could have been your bridesmaid instead?" There was silence on the other end. Then she let out an exasperated laugh. "Wow. So, this is about that? You're actually mad?" "Yeah, Emily. I am." My voice was shaking, but I didn't back down. "I'm your sister. And instead of treating me like family, you stuck me with a job no one else wanted." "It's not a job." "Yes, it is. You assigned me a role without asking. And now you're mad because I said no?" She made a frustrated noise. "I don't have time for this. Are you babysitting or not?" I took a deep breath and said, "No, I'm not." There was a long, tense pause, then she muttered, "Fine, do whatever you want." She hung up, and that's when the real drama began. Because the moment my parents found out, all hell broke loose. The next morning, I woke up to a flood of messages from my mom. "What is this I'm hearing about you refusing to help your sister? You're being selfish. It's just one day. Call me." Now that I sighed, already feeling the headache coming on. But before I could even think about responding, my dad called that I hesitated but picked up. "Hello? What's going on with you and Emily?" he asked. His voice tight, I let out a slow breath. "She asked me to babysit instead of being a bridesmaid, and I said no." Silence. Then a sigh. "Look, kiddo, I get that you're upset, but weddings are stressful. Maybe this was just the easiest way for her to handle things. Easiest for her, not for me. She's your sister." "Exactly. Which is why she should have treated me like family, not free labor." He didn't respond right away, and for a moment, I thought maybe, just maybe, he understood. But then he said, "This isn't worth tearing the family apart over." I gritted my teeth. "I'm not the one tearing the family apart. I just said no to something I never agreed to in the first place." "Then why is your mother so upset?" "Because she always takes Emily's side." That didn't sit well with him. He sighed again, deeper this time. "Just think about it, okay?" "I already have." After I hung up, I felt a strange mix of emotions: anger, frustration, and a tiny sliver of guilt. Even though I knew I hadn't done anything wrong then, another message came through. "Emily, since you're so offended by helping your own family, maybe you shouldn't come at all." And my heart pounded as I read the words over and over. Was she uninviting me? I should have been devastated. But honestly, I felt relief. If she didn't want me there just because I refused to be her babysitter, then maybe she didn't value me as a sister in the first place. I didn't respond. Instead, I did something that shocked everyone. I booked a trip for the same weekend as her wedding. Not just any trip, a solo vacation, somewhere I'd actually enjoy myself, somewhere far away from the drama. And when my family found out, that's when things really exploded. The moment my family found out about my trip, all hell broke loose. My phone blew up with calls and texts from my mom, my dad, and even a few relatives I barely spoke to. But the most unhinged reaction? That came from Emily. She sent a message so long I had to scroll 3 times to read the whole thing. Emily texted, "Wow. So you're really choosing to go on vacation instead of coming to my wedding? Do you even care about me at all?" Emily texted again, "You're selfish. You always have been. I asked you for one thing, and you couldn't do it. But you have no problem spending money on yourself and running away like a spoiled brat." And then she texted one more time, "Mom and Dad are right. You're tearing this family apart. Don't expect me to ever forgive you for this." I stared at my screen, my emotions shifting between anger and disbelief. How was I the bad guy here? I wasn't skipping her wedding out of pettiness. She had uninvited me. All I did was refuse to be treated like a free babysitter. And now she was making me out to be the villain. That's when I realized something. This wasn't just about the wedding. This was how my family had always treated me. I was the convenient one, the reliable one, the one who was expected to drop everything for everyone else. No questions asked. But the moment I stood up for myself, I was selfish. I let out a deep breath and did something that shocked even me. I blocked Emily's number. Then, I went to my parents' group chat and sent one last message. "Me, I love you both, but I will not be guilt-tripped for setting boundaries." Emily made it clear I wasn't welcome at the wedding. That was her choice, not mine. I refused to keep arguing about it. Then, I muted the chat. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. But I knew this wasn't over. Because when the wedding day finally arrived, something happened that I never saw coming. The morning of Emily's wedding, I woke up to a flood of notifications. At first, I ignored them. I was on vacation, sipping coffee on a hotel balcony, feeling more relaxed than I had in years. But then my curiosity got the better of me, and I opened my messages. The first thing I saw was a picture. Emily, in her wedding dress, standing at the altar, and behind her, an absolute disaster. The kids, the same nieces and nephews she had planned to dump on me. They were running wild. One was crying at the front of the aisle, another was trying to grab the wedding cake, and a third had somehow smeared frosting on Emily's dress. The caption? "Aunt Linda. This could have been avoided." I scrolled down, finding more messages from relatives. Cousin Rachel, OMG, the kids are out of control. I feel so bad for Emily. Uncle Jeff, no one's watching them. Total disaster. The ceremony had to pause twice. Mom, I hope you're happy. This was supposed to be your job. I blinked at the screen. My job? No, this was never my responsibility. And the fact that my family thought I should feel bad instead of vindicated, that just proved I'd made the right choice. I put my phone down, took a deep breath, and smiled that I wasn't at that chaotic wedding. I wasn't covered in cake. I wasn't dealing with screaming kids. I was exactly where I needed to be. And for the first time in my life, I didn't regret it one bit. The wedding disaster should have been the end of it. But, of course, my family wasn't going to let me off that easily. The day after the wedding, my mom called me. I let it go to voicemail. Then she called again. And again, WY the fifth call. I finally picked up, already bracing myself. So, Mom said, her voice tight with anger. Are you happy now? I sighed. Mom, no, don't mom me. Do you have any idea how embarrassed we were yesterday? The wedding was ruined. All because you were too selfish to be there for your own sister. I clenched my jaw. I wasn't invited, remember? I reminded her. Emily uninvited me when I said I wouldn't babysit. And you should have just done it anyway, she snapped. Family helps family. I nearly laughed. You mean like how Emily helped me by making me a babysitter instead of a bridesmaid? I shot back. There was silence on the line. Finally, my mom sighed, her voice dropping from angry to exasperated. Look, she said. Emily's devastated. She really thought you'd come around. You're her sister, and you weren't there on the biggest day of her life. I leaned back, gripping the phone tightly. And I thought I was her sister too, I said. But she treated me like the hired help. She didn't want me there, Mom. She wanted a free babysitter. That's all I've ever been to you guys. That's not fair, isn't it? I cut her off. You're not mad that I missed the wedding. You're mad that no one was there to pick up the slack. And that's not my fault. My mom huffed. So what? You're just going to cut us off? Never speak to your family again? I hesitated. I didn't want to cut them off. But I also wasn't going to keep being their doormat. No, I finally said. But things are going to be different from now on. I'm done being treated like a second-class family member. If you guys actually want a relationship with me, you need to respect my boundaries. Otherwise, I'm out. Silence. Then, finally, my mom let out a long sigh. I don't agree with how you handled this, she muttered. But I'll think about what you said. It wasn't an apology, but it was the closest thing I was going to get. When I hung up, I felt lighter. That phone call with my mom was the beginning of a shift, one I never expected. At first, I thought my family would cut me off completely, that they'd write me off as the selfish, rebellious daughter who abandoned them. But something strange happened. A week after the wedding, I got a text from my aunt. Aunt Linda. Hey kiddo, just wanted to say I heard what happened, and honestly, you did the right thing. Emily's always been spoiled, and it's about time someone told her no. I stared at my phone, shocked. Aunt Linda had always been the quiet observer at family gatherings. She never got involved in drama, and yet, here she was, backing me up. Then, another message came in. Cousin Rachel, you're a legend. Everyone at the wedding was miserable. Even some of the other bridesmaids were whispering about how Emily treated you. Honestly, you dodged a bullet. And it didn't stop there. One by one, different relatives started reaching out. Some were subtle, just checking in, asking how I was doing. Others were very direct, telling me they were proud of me for finally standing up for myself. It was the first time I realized. Maybe I wasn't the bad guy in my family's story. But, of course, Emily wasn't about to let that slide. One night, about 2 weeks after the wedding, I got a long, angry text from her. Emily, wow. So this is what you wanted? To turn everyone against me? To ruin my wedding and make it all about you? I sighed, already exhausted on me. I didn't turn anyone against you, Emily. They saw how you treated me and made their own decisions. Emily, you're just mad that I had the perfect day without you. I laughed out loud. Me? Rachel told me what happened. It sounds like your perfect day was a disaster. She left me on read. I expected her to cut me off after that. But instead, something even weirder happened. My dad called me. Now, My dad is the opposite of my mom. He's the quiet, avoid conflict at all costs type. So for him to call, that was huge. When I answered, his voice was hesitant. "Hey kid, just checking in." "Dad," I said, skeptical. "You never just check in." He sighed. "Yeah, well, I've been thinking about what you said, about how we treat you." I stayed silent, letting him continue. "I won't lie, I was upset when you skipped the wedding, but I can't really blame you. You've always been the responsible one, the one who just handled everything without complaining. And I think we took advantage of that." I swallowed, feeling an unexpected lump in my throat. "I'm not saying we can change overnight," he added, "but I want to try. I don't want to lose my daughter over this." For the first time in years, I felt like someone in my family finally saw me. I wasn't just the babysitter. I was me. And that was worth more than any wedding invitation. The next few weeks after that phone call were a whirlwind. It was as if the floodgates had opened, and suddenly, I was getting more attention from my family than I had in years. I'll admit, I wasn't sure what to do with it all, and why Dad tried harder to engage with me. We started having more casual conversations, even talking about things I liked doing, like painting and photography, things I'd never shared with him before. It felt nice, but also a little strange, like I was getting to know him all over again. And then, my mom, well, she tried to tea first. She didn't know how to approach me. I could tell she was walking on eggshells, unsure of what to say after everything that happened. But one evening, she invited me out for coffee. We sat at a small cafe near my apartment. She stirred her drink nervously before finally speaking. "I want to apologize," she said, her eyes not quite meeting mine, "for everything, for expecting you to just give in, for not respecting your boundaries." I could feel the sincerity in her words. But, to be honest, it still didn't erase the years of frustration I had built up. "I appreciate that, Mom," I said, taking a deep breath. "But I think there's a lot more we need to talk about. You can't just apologize and expect everything to be fixed." She nodded, clearly understanding. We spent the next hour talking about how things had been for me growing up, how I'd always felt overlooked, how it seemed like my needs came last in the family. It was a long conversation, and by the end of it, we both felt a little more heard, but I knew it wasn't over. This was going to be a process. But the more we talked, the more I realized that I wasn't just standing up for myself anymore. I was starting to rebuild my relationship with my family on my own terms, not just for them, but for me. And yet, the storm wasn't over. A couple of weeks later, Emily texted me again, this time with an even longer message. "Emily, I can't believe you're still playing the victim. It's been weeks. I'm not going to keep apologizing for what I did. You've ruined everything, and you've alienated the whole family. If you ever want to make things right, you know where to find me." I stared at my phone, reading the message over and over. Something about it stung. Was she really going to blame me for everything that happened? Was she going to make it all about her, as usual? I was done letting people manipulate me into feeling guilty to me. "I'm not playing the victim. I'm just choosing not to be your doormat anymore. If you want to continue playing the blame game, that's your choice. But I'm not interested." I hit send, and immediately, Emily had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let her pull me back into the toxic dynamic that had controlled me for years. After all of this, I started to focus on things that actually brought me joy. I booked a trip with my friends to a small beach town, something I'd been wanting to do for ages, but never had the chance because I was always stuck watching my siblings or helping my parents. I didn't have to answer to anyone, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I was living my own life. But the calm didn't last for long. One day, a few weeks later, I got a surprise message from my mom. Mom texted, "Can we talk? I've been thinking more about our conversation, and I think we need to have a real heart-to-heart." I felt a little uneasy. It wasn't that I didn't want to talk to her. I did. It was just that, after everything that had happened, I wasn't sure what this would mean. Would it be another apology? Another round of guilt tripping? But I agreed to meet her at a park near my apartment, just to see where it would go. When I got there, she was already sitting on a bench, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in a while. We greeted each other, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were just two people, rather than mother and daughter tangled in years of unspoken resentment. She looked at me, her face softer than usual. I've been reflecting on everything, she began. I know I haven't been the best mom, and I don't expect you to forgive me overnight, but I need you to understand that I'm trying. I want to be better for you, for all of us. Her words were more than just an apology. It was like she was showing me a side of herself that I'd never really seen before. I get it, Mom, I said, my voice calmer than I thought it would be. I'm not asking for everything to be perfect, but I need you to understand that I can't keep being the backup plan. She nodded. I know. I'll do better. I promise. We sat there for a while, talking about our relationship, really talking, something we hadn't done in years. It was hard, but it felt right. But of course, nothing is ever simple with my family. The following week, Emily texted again. Emily, I know I've been harsh, but we need to talk. You're my sister, and I want to fix things. I stared at the message for a moment. Had she actually changed? Or was this just another round of her playing the martyr to make herself look good? I decided to respond. I'm open to talking, but I need you to understand that I'm not going to let you walk all over me anymore. If you want to fix things, we need to have a real conversation. I hit send, feeling a mixture of hope and doubt. Would this be another attempt at manipulation? Or was Emily finally ready to take accountability for her actions? It wasn't the resolution I expected, but maybe that's how life goes. Not everything can be fixed with a simple apology or a quick fix. Sometimes, you have to let things evolve over time, and sometimes, you have to let go of the idea of perfection. But at least now, I had control. I was no longer the one scrambling to please everyone else. I had found my voice, and I wasn't about to lose it again.
What do you think? Did she do the right thing by standing up for herself, or should she have just let it slide for the sake of family peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your take on this. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss out on more stories like this.